Western Reserve University School of Medicine in Cleveland, Ohio. This is the All Access Med School Admissions Podcast. Hello again, everybody. I'm your host, Christian Essman. It's great to be with you again. In this episode, I'm featuring the University of Arizona College of Medicine in Tucson, Arizona. And you'll be hearing about it from their Associate Dean for Admissions, Dr. Tejal Parikh. Let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. Dr. Parikh completed her Bachelor's of Science degree with honors from Wellesley College in 1985 and subsequently attended the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine in Miami, Florida, where she earned her MD. She then pursued her family medicine residency and chief residency at University of Arizona College of Medicine. She subsequently joined the Department of Family Medicine as faculty. In 1994, she completed a faculty development fellowship in family and community medicine, which launched her career in teaching. Since her residency, she has devoted her academic career to medical education while continuing to maintain an active clinical practice. Dr. Parikh was Director of Life Cycle, a second-year required course for medical students at the University College of Medicine there, which we talk about in our conversation. She is also a mentor for the Societies program in the Doctor and Patient course, which we also talk about in our conversation. And she has been active in the U of A College of Medicine's admissions process since 2002 as an applicant interviewer. After serving on the U of A's College of Medicine admissions committee for multiple terms, she was appointed the Assistant Dean of Admissions at the College of Medicine in 2015 and then promoted to Associate Dean of Admissions in 2021. She was recently elected as the director of the College of Medicine-Tucson Comprehensive Education Center to lead the direction and operations of that center, the CEC, which is focused on augmenting the educational mission by providing the necessary infrastructure and common dedicated support needed by the college's baccalaureate, graduate, and medical students. If that's not enough, she's also a colleague of mine on the AAMC's Committee on Admissions, where she is the admissions representative for the Western region of the United States. She's an avid marathon runner and recently completed all 7 of the Abbott World Major Marathons, which is kind of a big deal. She's kind of a big deal. Let's jump right into my conversation with her to hear all about the University of Arizona College of Medicine. Well, hello, Dr. Parikh. I'm so delighted to have you. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Christian.
You've been in, I just pre-read your bio to everybody, and it looks like you've been in Tucson for a very, very long time. Tell me quickly, what's something that you really like about Tucson or you like people to know about Tucson?
Yes. Before you know it, I've been here 35 years. I actually came here to do my residency in family medicine in 1990. And my husband and I always thought we would return back to Florida where our families are. And I don't know, how did it get to be 35 years now? But we love living in Tucson. Tucson, there's 2 great things about it. If you like outdoors and you love to be outdoors, this is the place for you. We almost have 365 days of sunshine here. So the weather is great. Even in the summer, yes, it tends to get a little hot, but you just go out earlier in the morning and do your activities. And the second thing is, I don't know if you know, it's Tucson has been named one of the cities for gastronomy. So it's like a food city in the country. We have great restaurants and we have new restaurants coming in all the time. I don't know if you know this, Christian. It's the home of the chimichanga.
No way.
Yes. It was developed here in Tucson. One of the restaurants, El Charro, is famous for it. Their owner was making a burrito and accidentally dropped it in the fryer. And lo and behold, there's your chimichanga. You got
your chimichanga. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah. I've been to Tucson a couple times. It is a gorgeous city and your campus is amazing.
Yes, it's such a beautiful campus. When I was looking at colleges with my kids and traveling to different campuses, and then I'm like, guys, we have one of the most beautiful campuses right here. It's spread out really nicely. There's a mall, lots of new architecture, old architecture combined together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then like you mentioned in Tucson too, it's surrounded by mountains. So the mountains are just so close by that literally from my office, I could be on the mountain in half an hour, depending on where I want to be.
Is that running or walking?
That's well, it depends on how you like to get there, or bike riding.
Yeah. Oh, that's tremendous. Oh, I love Tucson. And tell me real quick, because they can't see this on the podcast, but we're talking on Zoom, and you have a virtual background. And I asked you about this when we jumped on here. She has this background of this building, and I said, well, I've been meaning to ask you because we're frequently on meetings together. What is that? Your background, and please tell everybody, what building are you in, or describe to them.
So part of our campus, we have the Health Sciences Interprofessional Building, and it's a new 9-story building that opened recently. It's actually won a lot of design awards. So one of the really cool things about it, because the weather is wonderful here, is that it has an indoor-outdoor feel. It has these 3 huge garage doors that open up, and so they open into the indoor atrium area where there's seating for over 200 students, faculty, staff. So you can be sitting there, have the garage doors open, feel the breeze, listen to the birds, which is so nice. We do that at Second Look. Oh, yeah. Which is really, really nice, and have students sit inside or outside when they're eating lunch.
Oh, that's wild. Well, it looks tremendous. And I'll try to find a link to your building and put it in the show description so people can look at it a little more, because it looks really cool. And I want to spend a little time on my own doing some research and checking that out. So, well, listen, before let's just jump into like the curricular things. When you, Tejal, are going out and meeting prospective applicants and you want to tell them some of the things they should know about your curriculum, what are some of those highlights? Let's start with the preclinical curriculum, the first 2 years. What are those things you'd like people to know?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a integrated block structure. We don't call them courses. We call them blocks here. There's 8 pre-clerkship blocks. I actually used to be one of the block directors.
Oh, for which one?
Life cycle.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a family physician, so it really kind of talked to me because it's all about normal and abnormal human development. So that's now block number 7 in the series. But it's a block system. We changed the curriculum from a 24-month to 18-month curriculum about almost like 8 years ago. And what we did that because so students could have 4 additional months for specialty exploration as they transition to residency. It allows students to, if they're not really sure yet of what specialty they want to go into, they have 4 extra months to explore that. Or maybe they have, more time to work on their application, get in order to submit it for ERAS. It also allows students to start their clerkships earlier. You can start in the clinical phase earlier. You still have protected time for step 1. And they also have incorporated a transition to clerkship course, which actually our students are now going through another part of it, which is called intersessions, where, in your 3rd year, you're out and about doing clerkships and you never get to see the rest of your classmates or your faculty because you're on different tracks. So right now, all of our 3rd years are together in intersessions, which is really nice too.
So in the first 2 years in this block format, what is the in-classroom teaching education look like? Is it small group? Is it a lot of lecture? How does that unfold?
All of the above.
Okay.
So we have a mixture. We do some of your typical lecture style learning. Our lectures are podcasted, so they're not required. So students can podcast them. We know that students learn at different paces. Some students, they like to be in person, learning in that way. Other students, they like to listen to the podcast, speed it up, slow it down, stop it, review points. So only if we have patients that are coming to class is it required. So, and then we also have flipped classrooms. We have simulation in the building that I was talking about. We have an amazing sim lab that is the whole eighth floor.
Wow.
Actually, it's the 7th floor. The simulation lab's on the 7th floor. And that's where students can get hands-on training. So they also get to interact with standardized patients. On the 8th floor, we have ICAPs, where we actually have 30 exam rooms that mimic a physician's office. So they look just like my office when I see patients. And students get to interact with our standardized patients there.
I want to come back to something you said, that your school records the lectures and puts them on podcasts, and so they can listen at different speeds and pause. And I think what listeners might not appreciate is, maybe they do from undergrad, but the power of the pause button. Like, you're getting this dense information coming at you, and there's times when you can just kind of zone out, and then you're like, oh wait, what did they say? You can pause and rewind, which is really, I think, a very kind thing to offer students, so that when you are trying to think through all this information, that you can pause, rewind, and come back to it, kind of thing, because it can probably feel overwhelming if it's all live and that's all you get is a one-time shot at hearing a bunch of information.
That is so true. And that is why we do it. When I was in medical school, we had nothing like this. You went to lecture, you sat there, and everyone had to take a turn to transcribe the lecture.
No way.
So we actually had a cassette. We had a tape recorder. So when it was your turn, you got the tape recorder and you got the cassette, and you had to transcribe the notes.
Oh my
and that's
gosh.
all you got. So yeah, having this modality is great. Sometimes I'll review my lectures and I'll speed them up, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, how did they, listening to yourself at 1.5 times speed, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. A funny side story. I had a person one time bumped into me at our building, and I said, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you." He was like, "Oh, it's so funny. I've never heard your real voice." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, what do you mean?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, when I listen to your podcast, I listen to it like 1.5 or 2 times, and your voice, it sounds different than it does in real life." I'm like, and that never occurred to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess I've never listened to myself at 1.5 or 2 times, because I usually hate to hear the sound of my voice anyway, so I don't really like to go back and listen to it. So
yeah, well, you sound great, but try it. It is pretty funny.
Thanks. Something else that I circled when I was doing some prep work was, I read that it's a competency-based curriculum. Can you talk a little bit about what that means to people?
Yeah, so competency-based is that, and the AAMC and also residencies are more and more coming with competency-based curriculum, so that we know students, they learn at different ways, but also they learn different things at different points in this 4-year process. So we want to make sure that when you graduate, you have the competency to interview a patient, how to do a physical exam. This is the same type of stuff that's going to happen when you're in residency. So we thought, okay, it's good to now include that in the medical school curriculum. Again, it's a longitudinal process. It's just not 4 years of medical school. You're going to have at least 3 years of residency to continue that whole process, so that you know that, okay, and also the people, your residency directors, clerks will know that you've actually hit these milestones, these goals.
Cool. What about the grading system in the first 2 years? What's that like?
Yeah, it's pass fail. So that too, we know, medical school is just it's a long, difficult journey, and we want to make it as less stressful as possible, and also not competitive. One of the unique things I wanted to mention about our school is that it really is community based. We're here to help students along this 4-year journey. You're not competing against other students. You're really competing within yourself to be the best version of yourself when you graduate. And that's what we're here to help you. We're here to help you through this journey. And we're going to work with you together to get through it.
That's a great segue. Talk a little bit about the support system that's wrapped around students there, like from student affairs or learning specialists and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. And that is also another jewel of our curriculum. So there's so many layers of support here. So first, when you matriculate to the College of Medicine in Tucson, you will be given a society's mentors. So we have 20 society's mentors for a class of 120. And these are all physicians. They're all clinicians. So you will be in a small group of a physician and 6 other students. And you will work with them longitudinally throughout the 4 years. Your society's mentor is going to teach you how to do the interview, physical exam. They're going to be your coach along this process. And they also help you with the professionalism. They're also, I'm one of the society's mentors. All my students have my cell phone number. They text me at all different times of day about what's going on, what they're worried about, their dog, their family, everything. And that's cool. That's one of the fun parts of getting to know our students. The next layer is we have house deans. We have 4 houses, and the name of the houses are based on the mountain ranges of Tucson. So we have Santa Rita, Tortolita, Catalina, and Rincon. And each house has a house dean, and those are all physicians too. So those house deans get a quarter of the class to coach and mentor. So again, a couple of times a year, you're meeting with your house dean, and they're kind of getting to know you, getting to know your interest, what specialties you might be interested in. They help you with shadowing opportunities, research opportunities. So that's another layer of support. Then along with that, everyone gets a learning specialist. So we have 4 learning specialists that are also tied to the houses. So, in the past, it was almost thought sometimes punitive to go see the learning specialist. And we don't want to make it that way. Everyone gets one because students, they realize after they get here, learning in medical school is so different than learning in undergrad or their post-bac.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've heard this, Christian, like it's drinking out of a fire hose. And it completely is. And it's so much information thrown at you and it's overwhelming. So the learning specialist is going to help you get through that dense curriculum. So you have the society's mentor, house dean, learning specialist, and then you also have, we have a whole mental health team. And we have psychologists, social workers, and psychiatrists that are just for our medical students.
That's huge.
And it's free. You can meet with them as many times as you want, however long you want. It's confidential. And, when I talk about this on interview day, people are like, what? Why would I need one? Well, there's a lot of things that happen in medical school. Sometimes there are topics that are brought up that are very sensitive that you maybe didn't process. And now all of a sudden, after it's brought up, you're processing it. And that's a good time to go see one of our therapists. Or, life continues to happen when you're a medical student. And maybe something happened to you or your family member, and you need someone to talk to. So that's another avenue. There's so many reasons, and it's a good way just to check in. I think students especially feel like, it's only happening to me. And that is so not true. It's happening to everyone. The imposter syndrome. Should I be here? This is hard. And we want to normalize all of that and say, no, it's fine. You are here. And we want to help you get through this process.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that come to mind I wanted to ask you while you were speaking. And the first one is that as a society's mentor, is that what they're called?
Yes.
Yourself, it's got to be cool to get assigned to a cohort of students. And then you said that it's across all 4. You follow them over 4 years to watch them grow and graduate. I have to believe that's a really special kind of bond that you form with them to you can then follow their successes and stuff.
Oh yeah, completely. I tell my friends, I have the best job. Okay, so I'm a family physician, but I'm being admissions dean. I get to meet all the students like you do, before they matriculate, right?
Yeah.
You get to know them. And then they matriculate into medical school. And then I have this little cohort of 6 students that I follow along the 4 years. And then I also teach in the college. And then eventually see them developmentally decide what residency they want to go into. So it's so fun watching them grow and doing that. And then it comes full circle when sometimes if they end up practicing in Tucson and I refer them a patient to call them up and say, weird. Yeah, it's really fun. I'm like, hey, can you see my patient? I need your help.
That's great.
So it's really great.
And then, I was going to mention too, like when you were saying that in admissions, we're one of the few people that gets to see our students from the very first day we got in touch with them, like on an interview day, to graduation.
Yes.
It is really a unique experience, I think. We saw them on their interview day when their palms were sweaty and they were super nervous. Even though we're on Zoom now, I can't shake somebody's sweaty palm, but you know the feeling.
Yes.
But we saw them on day one, and we're the only people really who've seen them all the way through to graduation. It's really special.
Exactly. It's so special. Also, we call our students. I don't know if you guys do that. When they get accepted, we call them on the phone to congratulate them before we send them the email. So that's really rewarding. And then, of course, during the white coat ceremony, as you see them walk across the stage, probably besides their parents and friends, we're also teary-eyed.
Oh, God, yeah. I know
how much they work to get here.
Oh, I always get misty at white coat ceremony. Because there's nothing like it. I mean, graduation is graduation. It's a big achievement, but most students by that point have been through a few graduations. You kind of know what's going to happen, but the white coat one is, there aren't very many people that have been through that or experienced that kind of ceremony with their families there and stuff like that. So
it's so special.
And the other thing I want to mention to you, I really love the idea of the learning specialist. So you said, like, kind of normalizing everybody's assigned a learning specialist, and we have them at case 2. And I've been telling them, because of this, what you kind of noted that a stigma, like, oh, I have a learning specialist. Like, I don't need, but I told them, like, you should be called learning strategist. I think if you branded it like learning strategist, like, they're not here to necessarily identify deficiencies in your learning, but how to be a better student. Strategize studying for your first block exam. Strategize how to study for step 1. Strategize how to adapt to this learning environment. So that's been my thing at Case, but it's amazing that you guys have everybody's assigned to one. And
I love that though. I love that idea instead of specialist to make him call, like have him call strategist, because really that's what they are. Yeah.
So, anyway, that's great. So it sounds like the support system there is just fantastic. What about the distinction tracks?
Yes,
I read a little bit about those. Yeah. Talk a little bit about those.
I'm glad you asked. So we currently have 8, and we're actually working on a 9th distinction tract. So I tell students to think of these as minors.
Okay.
Okay. So it is work outside of your regular curriculum, but it really helps to continue your interest or passions when you actually came into medical school. So we have the commitment to underserved people distinction tract, and that's for students who are interested in volunteering and doing service work. Why wait till you're a physician? You can do that right now in medical school. So that's one of our most popular distinction tracts. We have a bilingual medical Spanish distinction tract. Cool. And that's for students who are already proficient in Spanish, but now they want to take it to the next level and be proficient in medical Spanish. At the end of the 4 years, they actually will get a certificate in medical Spanish. We're also fortunate to have Dr. Andrew Wild here, who is the grandfather of integrative medicine. And we have an integrative medicine distinction track. So we know a lot of my patients are using herbals, acupuncture, other modalities. And it's very important now, as part of your education, to start learning about all of that and how it may interact with their diseases or their regular medications that we prescribe. For students who are interested in global health, we have opportunities for them to learn about medicine in underserved countries throughout the world. We also have a medical education distinction track for students who are interested in teaching academic medicine. Another unique distinction track we have is rural health. So Arizona is really a rural state. We have, Tucson, Phoenix, Flagstaff, but the rest of Arizona is pretty rural. And we are committed, since we are a public institution, to serve our patients in Arizona. So we have over 30 rural sites that students can rotate at.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and many of the physicians in these rural sites are our alumni, which is really fun too. Mm-hmm. So they're really invested in having our students go. And if you're at all interested in practicing in a rural area, this is a nice way for you to try it while you're in med school. So your third year clerkships, you get first dibs for any rural rotations. And then you can go back there your fourth year and you can see, maybe I might want to do a residency that has rural rotations. And the last two are research, along with a leadership and innovation distinction tract.
Wow, those all sound great. Those sound cool. I guess as you were speaking, I didn't think about, so how far is it from Phoenix to Tucson? It's like 2 hours?
Well, on a good day, it could be an hour and a half, depending if you have a lead foot or not, and what parts of Phoenix you go to, because Phoenix is very spread out now. Yeah. Okay. So it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So pretty far away.
I mean, yes. So there's a lot of space then between. So do the region your hospital has to cover, the main hospital there, it has to be huge.
Yeah, we are a large catchment area, Banner Hospital, and we are only an hour from the U.S.-Mexico border. Yeah. So definitely down south, both east and west, going to Yuma. Yuma is now growing too, which is near the California border. Mm-hmm. So we serve a large catchment area. So we encourage students to learn Spanish because, one, throughout the country, a lot of our patients speak Spanish, but definitely here in the Southwest. And the nice thing about the bilingual medical distinction tract in Spanish is that you end up with a certificate. Now, so it really helps you stand out when you're applying to residency too. Our students have the most volunteer hours because of the commitment to service distinction tract. And if a residency director is looking at 2 different students, someone who has a certificate in medical Spanish may stand out, especially if they're applying to a residency program that has a large amount of Hispanic, Spanish-speaking patients.
Yeah. Oh, those sound great. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about, because prospective applicants always ask us about research opportunities. So there's a distinction track for research, but do all students get the opportunity to do a scholarly project, or is it just opt-in? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do also now have a required scholarly project. This is now probably started about 5 years ago, and it's based on any question that you're curious about. So just like how you had a societies mentor, you get a scholarly project mentor. And it's a 4-year longitudinal project. The first year, you're really just meeting with your mentor, trying to figure out what's going to be my research question. What am I really curious about? If you think about it, who knew 5 years ago we were going to need a new vaccine for a pandemic because of COVID, right? So that's that curiosity, like, wow, why did this happen? How do we make this vaccine? And we want to continue that curiosity while you're in medical school, because it needs to continue while you're a physician.
For sure.
So you work on your question the summer between your first and second year. That summer you could, do a little bit, really start doing research with whoever you decided to work with. Now, it could be bench research, it could be clinical research, it could be a meta-analysis. It really is down to you. And then we are hoping that over time, it will allow you to maybe do a poster presentation at a conference. Going to conferences are so much fun. And, talking about what you did research in over the 4 years. It could also help you possibly publish a research article too. And it also gives you something else to talk about when you go interview at a residency program and talk about the cool research you did and why you thought it was fascinating, interesting.
Yeah. So the culmination of that doesn't necessarily have to be a publication, but I'm sure there's like something they have to present, like a manuscript style kind of thing. But if you get great results, icing on the cake. If it doesn't work out, you don't get the best data you were hoping for, that's okay too. It sounds like this is experiential kind of stuff.
Yes, and definitely. And, and that is also something to talk about. Like, why did your project not go as the way you thought about it? And what did you learn from it? And how do you think you would have changed it in the future?
Exactly.
So all of that. And the distinction tracks, some of the distinction tracks also have capstone projects. So we allow students to double dip.
Oh,
So they could do, their scholarly project could be their capstone project from one of their distinction tracks.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, kind of kill two birds with one stone there. Let's see. Any other things you like people to know about the school that we haven't touched on yet before we kind of move on to the admissions piece?
Yeah. So another thing is we are truly an academic center in the sense that the medical school is attached to our clinical entity, Banner Hospital. And we have, it's 9 stories. And we're so fortunate that with this affiliation, we have over 700 residents. We have all the residency programs students would want to go into, along with fellowships. Many of our faculty are teaching in the residencies. They're clerkship directors, residency directors, so that when you're being taught by a faculty member and maybe you get interested in their research. So you start doing research with them. Oh, maybe you all of a sudden thought of doing anesthesia. So you go shadow them. And then eventually when you're applying to their programs, you're not a number. You're actually Christian who did, research in the sim lab on intubation. And they
I know
you.
him, and he's a good guy. And he would work well with our team. And
exactly. All of that. And so that's truly special in that sense.
Yeah. Just a couple more questions before we move on to the admission stuff. That just what's something that you wish people knew about Arizona, Tucson, that you don't like, you'd like to get out there that they may not be aware of? Is there some kind of hidden secret or something that, or some people overlook about your school?
Yeah, I mean, people may think that Tucson is a small podunk town, and we're not.
No, I never thought that.
Oh, thank you. We have Broadway shows that come here. We have lots of opportunities for you to do outdoor stuff, for you to go visit southern Mexico, being close to the border, all of that. So I think in that sense, Tucson is just a wonderful, easy place to live. It's really laid back. We don't get much traffic, which is nice. The quality of life, it can't be beat here. And that's, I think, the reason why my husband and I ended up spending 35 years here, and we're probably going to stay here for the rest of our lives. So.
That's cool. Since last question before we go to admissions things, since you've formed pretty close relationships with some students, given your role as a society mentor, what do you hear from your students that you like, themes that you hear that they like so much about Arizona?
Yeah. Well, I think specifically about our school, they like the supportive environment, the community feeling. That sense of community comes with the culture of the school and the people you're surrounded by. They really appreciate that after they matriculate to the school. It's hard to understand that before you come to school, but it's the feeling, it's the vibe you get, it's the openness that, the open door policy. I can just text my mentor. I can text one of my house deans. I can walk into their office. So we try to be very available and approachable to our students, because knowing that this process is very stressful and it's okay. We're here with you. We're here to share your concerns. So I definitely think that is one of the things our students say frequently. I actually just had dinner with my third years last night. We went to the Cheesecake Factory. You got to have some cheesecake while you're on rotations, right? And I need to fatten them up because half of them have lost weight, they told me. So, and I was like, hey guys, I'm going to be on this podcast. What do you think? What's the best thing about our school? And they're like, societies. We just love the fact that we get, to hang out together. And one of the things too is, remember when you were at school, there were people like, you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm not going to hang out with so-and-so. They don't play pickleball. They don't do the things I do. Well, now you're randomly put together with a group, and somehow everybody ends up getting along. And I think it's the fact that you start out all green together, and you see each other's mistakes, accomplishments, and you're all there supporting each other. So you form this really tight bond.
Yeah, definitely.
Throughout the process.
Tejal, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know how you do it all. Dean of admissions, society mentor, practicing family physician, you teach in the curriculum. Oh, you're a mom. You're a wife. I mean, you fit it all in. You're a marathoner. My goodness, you must be a heck of a time manager.
You know what? It's like you, Christian. Once you love your job and you love those components of it, it's not a job anymore.
Yeah,
it's something you're passionate about, and they all go together and they all relate, and they all feed off each other. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
and I really love doing it. So I think if I didn't have all those components, I would miss it.
Yeah. Well, that's true. There are days where I get home and I'm just like, that didn't feel like work today.
Yeah.
It didn't feel, I did stuff. I didn't just go to work and sleep and under my desk kind of thing, but it was just like, that didn't feel like work. That was so fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's switch gears and talk a little bit about the admissions process or highlights. And one thing that I discovered when I was doing my prep work, frequently people ask us, what are you looking for? And it is smack dab on your website. And what I'm pointing to is you say, applicants should exhibit qualities of altruism, academic excellence, leadership, and dedication to becoming lifelong learners through research endeavors and academic development. I mean, if somebody were to ask, like, what are you looking for? You could say, well, we're looking for qualities of altruism, academic excellence. I mean, it says it right there on your website. So I guess my question for you is, how do people demonstrate that, in your opinion? Not maybe each one, but just kind of broadly speaking, how do you feel applicants should demonstrate those kind of things?
Yeah. And, when you think about it and you're reading someone's application, we look for those attributes throughout their application, their interview, all of that. So ways to demonstrate is really like from your experiences. I tell students, okay, your application is your novel.
Good.
It should have 3 themes. The committee is going to review over hundreds and hundreds of applications. So let's keep it to 3 things, okay? 3 themes that you can weave throughout your application and your experiences, things you're passionate about that drive you, that give you purpose, and the purpose for applying. Really. So keep it simple in that way, and explain to us why you did this experience. One of the things is like students tell us, oh, I shadowed blah, 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 blah. And you're like, okay, that's great, but tell us what you learned from it. What was the insights that you gained? How's this going to improve your communication with your future patients? How does it change the way you think about being a physician? And what are you going to do differently? I think those are the ways you can show all of that. And you don't need to have all of those attributes, because that would be impossible. There's only 24 hours in a day. But share these insights with us. That's what we're really, really looking for. People are always thinking about the secret sauce. It's not necessarily the experience, the hours, but really what you learn from it. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said, don't think of that you're going to do all these, that your committee is looking that they've essentially checked each one of these qualities off, and you're like, okay, they've hit all these and now they're going to be in. But that I'm glad you emphasized that, because I think if we don't highlight that, then somebody listening could think, all right, I'm going to go to Arizona's site and make sure I do altruism. I went to the soup kitchen last weekend.
Yeah.
And academic excellence, I'm nailing my GPA right now. But I really like, and this is something that frequently people will come on here and talk about you're saying the same things. It's the way you write about what you share that you took, the self-reflections. I say it all the time. If people have been listening to this podcast for a long time, they're probably tired of me saying it. But but every school says the same thing. It's the self-reflections.
Totally. I tell students, we do information sessions, and I tell students to keep a reflection journal. Write it down on your phone in the notes section, or keep a reflection journal. You came home from, working at Z Mansion, which is one of our, soup kitchens or homeless clinics in the community here in Tucson. Write down what you saw and what you observed and what was meaningful to you and why. And then at the, write all of that down in your reflection journal, so that when you do have to write essays and write your personal statement, you can draw from these experiences, because you know how it is. All of a sudden you have to write an essay on something you failed at, your mind kind of goes blank, but now you can look at all your reflections that you had from all your experiences and use those as prompts. Or also too, I tell them, before you interview, go ahead and read that journal again, because that's what you want to bring up. That's what we want to read about or hear about too when you interview with us. So, make it or maybe your novel.
Even other stories that you didn't share in your application.
Exactly.
That you're like, you probably read about this thing, but there's another one I want to share with you.
Yeah. Well, the thing though is, just to let your listeners know that we do MMIs, and our interviewers are completely blinded to your application. So they have not read anything about you at all. We don't want to bias them with, like what high school you went to, what your GPA or MCAT was, your experiences. They are, you're just a fresh slate. So you can talk to them about, things you learned when you were doing these experiences, and definitely bring them. This is the opportunity to bring in new experiences or to talk about updates, because we really, one of the things we train our interviewers is to write comments. The comments are really important. The committee reads those comments, and that's where you can share updates about what you did since you submitted your application.
Oh, that's really good to know. And I'm glad you brought that up, Tejal, because a lot of schools, and this is like behind the scenes stuff applicants don't know, but we, like you, we emphasize to our evaluators, like, your narrative comments are the most important things, because this is what the committee is going to read and take away from your interaction with the candidate. So the narrative comments, so in our evaluation form, they can't hit submit until they've filled in the fields, the text fields. And if they leave it blank, it won't let them do that. So they've got to put something in. And even we went to the point where one of them, we made him like have to be a certain number of characters. You couldn't just put like nice young person, period. Like
yes,
it has to be a little bit longer.
Exactly. I love that. That's a great idea. Yeah. And we even show them examples of good comments, comments that are not as useful, all of that, to share that with us, because that's what the committee is really looking for and wants to read about.
Talk a little bit about your MMI process. Like what, because that you're not the first school, but there are fewer doing MMI, I think, than a traditional. What's the MMI process like? How many stations? What kind of questions, broadly speaking, can they expect to receive?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we actually now have, we used to have a 6 station, and now we've gone to 4 stations, just to kind of like, for time management and all of that. So, on our interview day, we explain the whole process, so students aren't nervous about it. It's done on Zoom, so it's virtual, and I think that really helps, level the playing field and make it more equitable for everyone. So they get to read the prompt for 2 minutes, and then they have 7 minutes to answer the prompt. And we say, you don't have to use all the 7 minutes. And also, stop along the way, because the interviewers may have follow-up questions for you. So you have time to answer those follow-up questions.
Oh, that's key. That's good to know. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when you say they have 7 minutes to answer, somebody doesn't feel like, okay, I have to come up with a 7-minute response to some question or scenario that they're giving me. You can, as the applicant, you can give a little bit good, and then pause, probably watch their body language.
Yes, for sure.
Like, I have something I want to add or ask you. So they don't have to prepare or feel like they have to prepare a 7-minute dialogue.
Exactly. And it's better if they don't, because that sounds really rehearsed. We want it to be more of an interaction. Just like I tell students, think about it as this is a conversation you're having with your friend, and explain to them about social determinants of health, or you're talking about an ethical question. How would you approach it with a friend? So think about it in that manner, and maybe have like 3 bullet points in your mind that you want to make sure you touch on. You don't have to have a rehearsed script. We want to ask you some follow-up questions or clarifying questions.
Yeah. When somebody gets those 2 minutes, can an applicant have pen and paper at their desk, and like where they're at home or wherever they are, and just jot down like, okay, here's a couple things I want to try to interject into this or infuse into my response? Are they allowed to do that?
Oh, yes. Actually, students ask us that all the time. Yeah, definitely. Go ahead. You're allowed to write it down. Write down your thoughts. And we don't want students to be reading off their screen. Because then that just, it sounds too rehearsed. And we actually get those comments sometimes from interviewers, like, sounded very rehearsed. We want it to be more conversational, because, we tell students, we loved reading your novel, your application.
That's why you're here.
We want to hear it from you. We want to hear what you think about these various questions. And, I'm not giving away anything, but I think all students should really know why they want to be a physician. That's like every school is going to ask you that question.
Totally. Yeah.
And, again, here, use some of your experiences, tie those in on what's your why. That's the personal statement, and also why you want to be a physician. And, tell us that. And the other thing is, again, I'm not giving away any secrets. Why do you want to come to our school? What brought you to interview at our, or submit your application and accept our interview spot? What excites you about our school? That's, again, another opportunity for you to shine and show how your experiences tie in with maybe our distinction tracks or a curriculum. If you spend a little time just like reading the website, just taking a look, it really helps.
Yeah. Let's see. So when it comes to, I got a little ahead of myself with the interview piece, but there were a couple things that I circled that I wanted to ask you about. And that's one of them was the letters of recommendation.
Oh, yes.
And can you talk a little bit about what you require for letters of rec?
Yes. And so we like to have at least one letter of rec from someone who's observed you clinically. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physician. It can be anyone in the health professions field, because we all really want to read their comments about what they observed when you were interacting with a patient. So we do request that along with, 2 other letters. It can be, if you did research, we'd love to hear from your PI or the person you did research with. And sometimes too, if we don't get that letter, we also wonder, I wonder why they don't have a letter from them. We, of course, students love to have a letter from a faculty member that they did their coursework with, that they did well in. So that's great to have too. I also tell students, if you go to the University of Arizona undergrad, maybe try to get a letter from one of your faculty members who also teaches at the medical school, because that's a really nice way to complement your application. They've worked with medical students. They can talk about your experience and how you compare to a medical student. It's almost like a true testimonial.
Yeah. So the one letter that, before we hit record, I asked you about this, and because I feel like your letters of recommendation requirements are a little different than most med schools. A lot of them are kind of more, I'm using air quotes, traditional, like 2 letters from instructors or professors and 1 from anybody else kind of thing. But this one from a practitioner or somebody that's seen that applicant in the clinical environment I think is unique. And I want to come back to what you said, that it doesn't have to be a physician. So if the applicant feels that maybe the nurse manager who they've worked with more than maybe the physicians who've kind of passed through that unit are you saying that's maybe more valuable? You'll put as much weight and value on that, even if they don't have an MD behind their name?
Yes, that's definitely true. And students ask us that, and we're like, yes, that's fine. They've observed you in the hospital or maybe in clinic. Also, maybe the manager of the hospice organization you worked at. So there's all various health professionals. Maybe you worked in with a physical therapist or a PA. That's fine. Again, it's more about their description of your attributes or your characteristics. That's what we're really looking for and want to read about.
Yeah. So I bring this up because I know sometimes prospective applicants may want to feel like, oh, well, Arizona wants a practitioner letter. I'm going to go to the CEO or the CMO of the hospital who doesn't know me, but I want a letter from a hoity-toity big shot name that might look better off for my application where they don't know. So you want to find somebody who can objectively evaluate you, who knows the person well and can speak to how they we're in the clinical environment. Again, whether it's PA or physical therapist or nurse, that's where the value is, not in title.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm sure you've read those letters and I've read those letters. And usually those letters students don't know is just a rehash of your CV. And you can quickly, as a reader, know, oh, this person doesn't really know this individual. And that's not what we're looking for at all. We really want a letter from someone who's known you over time. I think that's the other thing is to think about, even with your experiences, you don't need to shadow 10 physicians. We want you to work with 1 or 2 individuals so they get to know you over time. And it's also beneficial to the student because as you get to know someone over time, you're more likely to give them more responsibilities and things to do in the clinic. So it makes it fun for both people. So yeah, definitely not. We don't want to, have a letter from someone who really knows you.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. How do you feel about multiple MCATs attempts?
Yeah, so students, that it's a long test. It's a hard test. So we totally get that. We want students to know that we see all your MCAT attempts. So definitely we're looking for the upward trend. We don't look specifically like, oh, the cars section needs to be this at this level, But we're hoping that, if you do have multiple attempts, that it's in an upward trend. Or if something happened, everybody has something that happens, life happens the night before you're taking the MCAT, or you had an illness or whatever, that maybe you explain it in your application somewhere. So we understand too what happened and why it went that way. I think in general, as talking with other admissions officers, directors, I would tell students, really try to keep it at 3, because from the research I've done and talking with other admissions deans that, we look at about 3 attempts. And why are we saying that? Because you have to continue to take standardized tests while you're in medical school. We know that your MCAT and GPA aligns with your performance in STEP. And so you have to take step 1, 2, and 3 throughout medical school. I have to sit for my family medicine boards next year. So,
it doesn't end.
It never ends. I was so naive. I took the MCAT. I'm like, oh, yay, that's over. No more standardized exams. Boy, was I naive. Then I get to med school and it starts all over again. So that's the reason why, is just kind of and again, just do your best. If you didn't, go ahead, try to get some help. The AAMC has great prep material on their website with MCAT practice exams. There's lots of practice exams online. There are online resources that you can use, even Khan Academy to help you study. I really tell students, really try to study and do a lot of practice questions, because then you have an idea of how they're going to ask you that question.
Yeah, I've asked students too who have been, if you want to say they were successful on the MCAT, how did you achieve that score? And a lot of times I hear students say, I just hammered away at just more practice questions, just kept doing a lot of questions that got me in the flow, or just took multiple full-length examinations, like just got used to the pace and the endurance, if you will, that it takes to do that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought that up, because sitting for that MCAT or STEP, that's 8 hours of focus. That's a marathon within itself. So it's not only doing the practice questions, but being able to sit and focus for 8 hours. That is true stamina. I mean, of course you get breaks, but to focus for that long, I tell students, sit and do it at least for 4 hours. We actually give students vouchers here at the med school to take practice NBME exams, or step 1 exams, and we say, you got to do it, make it a practice run. Wear the same clothes you're going to wear, have the same snacks, take your breaks as much as you would do
it
on
at
the
the same
real
time
exam.
in the morning when it's going to be administered.
Exactly. That's also how I train for marathons. So, it's like a dry run, right? And then, I can't wear, I don't want to wear that. That's not very comfortable. Oh, I didn't like those, that snack. It upset my stomach. So all of that, you need to know that. So there's no surprises, except the questions you're going to get on that day.
No, I totally agree. I think that, and I've had students tell me that they would get up on Saturdays, a couple to Saturdays a semester. They would make that like their mock MCAT day and get up and be ready to go and start someplace at 8 o'clock. And so that way you really are replicating just getting out of bed early on a Saturday and going someplace and locking in for just say 4 hours or doing the whole thing. That there's really something to that prep. And I just feel like that students that are successful in getting to med school, they're like academic athletes.
That's so true in that sense. Set yourself up for success so that you're prepared, that you're ready. And it's just not about taking the questions, but having that focus, having that stamina to get through it. It's not a sprint. And honestly, that's the same thing with med school. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So pace yourself throughout the whole process.
Let me ask you, Tejal, something else that comes up frequently is it's really difficult to get into medical school, right? I think the acceptance rate yearly is around 41 or 43% nationally. How does Arizona view reapplicants to your school?
We like RIA applicants. We like to meet with students who did not get in, who were interviewed, and we're probably one of the few schools that give them one-on-one feedback about their application. Great. So we actually, allow, send out an email if you interviewed with us and didn't get in. You're welcome to set up a 15-minute one-on-one. We'll give you feedback. We'll review the application and give you personalized feedback. We're finding that once we do that, and students usually tend to be successful. Either I want students to be successful in general. If they don't get into my school, Christian, I'd be happy if they get into Case Western. Because
I'm glad you say that, because that's what we all kind of feel like. If it's not our school, we hope they get in someplace and achieve the dream they've set out for.
Exactly. I mean, achieve their dream. They've worked so hard for it. Reapplications is like persistence, dedication, perseverance, all those traits you need as a physician. And, just keep doing it. And that's that resiliency that people have in the whole process. So we really look at that favorably, like, okay, you really want this and you're determined and you've done these things. We actually have it on our secondary. We have an essay that's optional. If you're reapp, let us know what you did during your gap year. And also too, reapplicants, gap years, this is a long process. You're going to be practicing as a physician for the rest of your life. That's fine. If you want to take a gap year, more and more students are taking gap years, years of opportunity, transition years, whatever you want to call them. But it's great because if you're not ready to fully immerse yourself 150%, go ahead and take a gap year. Because again, there's going to be so much once you start and you're going to be doing a lot. So we want you to be ready to hit the ground running when you start med school.
So you guys are fans of the gap year too, if that's what the applicant wants to do, not necessarily advocating that you should take a gap year, but,
right.
But it's not an advantage or disadvantage if you don't have one.
Correct. We're open to it. In my day and age, people didn't take gap years, but now it's really, I have to talk parents off the ledge. Like, my friends' parents, their kid's going to apply, but they're like, oh, they're going to take a year or two gap year. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. We look at every school looks at that pretty favorably. Don't worry about it. Just have them, make sure they're continuing their interest in medicine in some way, shape or form, but that's fine.
I guess I was speaking with somebody recently on another episode, and they said, if you're worried about your momentum, because sometimes students say, I have to apply because I'm worried that, I'm going to lose my momentum. Then if you're worried about losing your momentum into going to med school, then maybe you're really not that driven to do this. If you feel, because if you do have that drive, then taking a year or two, like, hey, I want to take a break or just want to step away after I've done 4 years of undergrad and really, but there's a few things I want to do in my life before I get into the med school, train, then that's okay. But if you're like, I just don't know if I'm going to keep the momentum then you maybe don't really want to do this.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And, whatever you do is going to help you become a better physician. You come with these experiences. You're going to be more relatable to your patients. The fact that you worked maybe, in a service industry, I think that's the best thing. Everybody should be working at a coffee shop, at, McDonald's, whatever. Service jobs are so hard, and to be on all the time and to have that professionalism as you're interacting with your customers, even when you're tired, all of those things, those are great. It's a great, on the job training to be a future physician.
I'm laughing as you're saying this because we almost made our kids do that. But why don't you go get a job at the ice cream shop down the street and do that for the summer? And it was kind of like, because if you don't, we're going to find something else for you to do. But they both did. And one liked it, one hated it. But that's, I think, to your point, doing a service job is, you can come away with a lot of transferable skills.
Definitely. I learned some of my best skills when I was a hostess for a restaurant. And I remember the first time I had a couple come in and they wanted to sit in this area, but I had already put a couple there. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Then I say, oh, I'm sorry. No, you have to go sit there. 5 minutes later, the manager comes and talks to me and says, whatever the customer wants, the customer gets. And I'm like, oh, life lesson number one, is that how to interact with, and this is true with patients, of course, in the sense you're going to be collaborating and maybe compromising, but you're going to be talking to them and telling them why. And my young, naive self was like, oh no, so-and-so, I can't do that because I just put somebody there. It's all these transferable skills that are really helpful in the long run.
And this, coming back to what you said earlier about writing what they took away from these experiences, this is the kind of stuff that if you're listening and you work at insert restaurant or, some job, these are the things that we like to read because it shows us that you have gained some skills about being accountable to others and you are reliable to show up on time and you have learned how to interact with all different kinds of walks of life kind of thing. We're saying that And I just had to circle that back around.
No, that's so true. And I'm glad you brought that up, because the other thing I tell students who do work is to write that as an experience on the experience, one of your 15 experiences, because really then we know, well, how come this person might have less volunteering or shadowing than
because they
another
worked at
applicant?
Chipotle 20 hours a week.
Exactly. Or, working two jobs and taking care of their family, all of that. So that is so important. Sometimes, when I'm meeting with people who are reapplying and they tell me all these things, I'm like, why didn't you write that on your application? I really needed to know that. Now that you told me all this, they're like, oh, I didn't think that was important. No, that's really important.
Totally. Yes. All right. We've already touched a little bit on the interview day. You do MMI. We talked about the stations and stuff. But Tejal, would you mind what does the interview day look like? What's the agenda kind of shape out to be?
Sure, yeah. So students will come on around 11 o'clock, 11:10. We'll do an introduction. We'll introduce the whole team. We'll have an icebreaker, get students kind of comfortable, making sure their audio video work, because it's a virtual interview day. Then we actually go through the whole process. We want them to know that, no secrets here. We're being transparent. We even tell them what like one or two interview questions. So again, why College of Medicine? Why doctor? Why physician? So then at noon is when the interview starts. So from 12 to 1, they interview. They have the 4 stations. Then afterwards, we say, now you can relax, loosen your tie, get something to drink. Now it's our turn to recruit you to the College of Medicine. So myself and our director of admissions, Larissa Gronenberg, we give them a whole overview of the medical school. We actually do a virtual tour. We have a video where we involve our medical students in the video. They get to see the campus. And then we tell them about the curriculum, the preclinical, clinical, transition to residency, other clubs, all of that kind of information, really so that they know what the culture of our school is. And of course, the best part is they get to hear from our students. We have a student panel of, pre-MD ambassadors. Sometimes we have a student club that comes on and highlights some of the things that they're doing. So as a way, again, so students can understand the culture of our college. And then we ask if there's any questions. We do the next steps and a wrap up. So that's pretty much, they're usually done. I mean, it used to be longer, but we're like, okay, after being on Zoom from, 11 to 2:33, everyone's tired. So
yeah. That sounds like a very efficient day. So Tejal, when somebody's invited to interview, can they submit updates beforehand? You talked about updates earlier, or is that something to discuss on the interview day?
It's best if you discuss it on the interview day and let your interviewer know, and then they can write the comment about that. We have a large amount of applications that we're following through. So send us an email. It's fine. It's not necessary. In that
if it's
sense.
Significant, if it feels significant.
It's not really that significant in the sense that we tell students, you filled out your application in your secondary. So we have so much information on you. We have all the information we need.
Yeah, that frequently comes up at my school too. And can I submit an update? And we don't take updates from people unless you're interviewed, but just know that, to your point, there's so much that goes into the application. It's not usually that one extra thing you're going to send that's going to tip the scales, one way or the other. And to your point about getting the volume of updates that could come in, it already takes us a long time to screen them. So let alone if you add in all these additional documents of updates, it's going to slow down the process even more.
Exactly. And to that point, Christian, I tell students, don't hit submit until your application is completely completed, which means that, I think there's this myth in admissions that I have to submit on the very first day that the season opens. And I'm like, if you are still doing a really meaningful experience and you're not able to really write about it yet and then put it into your personal statement, don't submit your application yet. We do rolling admissions. We are saving interview days. We're saving spots at the med school for you. So don't hit submit until you think your application is complete. and you've talked about all your experiences, especially if you're a reapp, don't submit the same application.
Yeah.
Do some, you probably have some new experiences. Wait until you can actually write something meaningful about those experiences to hit submit, because that's really your update.
Mm-hmm. How many days a week do you guys interview?
We interview Fridays. And then this year, we are actually also adding Tuesday to do MD PhD interviews.
Oh.
So we're going to do 3 Tuesdays, but that's focused on MD PhD, and the rest is on Fridays.
Wow. And they get to meet you too, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the fun part of my job. It's like, I get to meet them, hear about, what they're interested in, and all of that. Yeah, for sure.
That's great, because I think it's cool that when applicants get to meet the dean.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's the best part of my job is getting to meet everybody on those days. And then, like we talked about, once they matriculate to med school or they come to second look, now you can meet them in person and, hear about all the cool things they're doing.
Yeah. Well, now they can DM you on Zoom and say, I listened to that podcast you were on with Christian, and that was what helped me apply to your school.
Oh, yeah. That would be awesome. That would be great. I would love that.
So really quickly, after the interview, you guys have missions committee. Do you accept people? Sounds like rolling, or like you have intermittent times you put out acceptances.
We do rolling admissions. Yeah. And so, we can't send out our first acceptances until mid-October, but we do rolling admissions. And that, again, on Fridays, we tell students, on Fridays, if you get a call from a blocked number, pick up your phone because that's probably us calling you to tell you you've been accepted to the College of Medicine-Tucson. And that's too exciting. It's so exciting on our end. And the admissions team, we talk about it. One of the calls I made was super cute. So I call a student and they're like, is this going to be a good call? I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a really good call. They're like, oh, wait, it's my mom's birthday. Don't say anything yet. I want to get my mom on the phone because I forgot to get her a present. And so I want her to hear this. And I'm like, sure. So, congratulations, you're in. And it was one of the, and then I met her at a white coat ceremony and she was like, that was the best birthday present I ever got.
She'll never forget that. Yeah. We called an applicant one time and she was shopping in the grocery store and she was in like the cereal aisle or something. And she was screaming. She's like, oh my God. Oh my God. She goes, I'm so sorry. I'm in the grocery store now. People are looking at me. They don't know what I'm doing, but I'm so excited. It was like, it's so fun to have those stories because we know that when you make that call, you've just changed somebody's life.
And not only their life, but their family's life. Exactly. Everybody, that whole big circle, everything has changed now for and they all supported them to get them here. So that makes it even more meaningful.
Well, I always feel like imagine after they hang up, like who they're going to call then, and how that gets out, the emails and texts and phone calls to all these people. And then those extended family are telling their, people that they know. It's such a cool thing to think about, that kind of ecosystem of that acceptance call. It's so fun. That
is fun. And did you ever get it come back to you? Like every once in a while, I'll have a friend say, oh, I just talked to so-and-so and their son or daughter just got into the College of Medicine and they're so excited. It's like that full circle. Yeah, and then you're like, oh, that's great. I'm so excited that they're happy to get in.
We had a guy, I'll finish this up, but we had a guy call us back one time and say, my mom had to wake me up to answer your call. And I was dead asleep. Was that real?
That's great. That's a great story.
Like, I thought I dreamt, I swear to God, I thought I was dreaming. Because usually, when you get one of those kind of calls, like your head starts spinning and you can't hear what somebody's saying. And this kid thought that he maybe had dreamt it, but he's like, I just had to call you back. I'm so sorry. That was real, right? Because that was a dream come true kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That was the best dream ever. Yeah. That's so great.
Oh, gosh. Well, this has been really fun, Tejal. I'm so glad that you've taken some time out of your day to talk to me. I've been asking all the questions here for the better part of about 45 minutes. Is there a question you'd like to ask me?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great and so much fun talking to you because I think we share a lot of similarities about why we like what we do. But you tell me in your words, why do you like what you do?
Oh my gosh, that's such a nice question. It's probably the most fulfilling thing I think I can do in my life. Well, besides raising kids and, that kind of thing. But
yes,
as an occupation, it really is so fulfilling to me. I feel like I'm a part of something bigger that's making a difference. I mean, when you think in the world or that's going to touch people for years, it really, when I think about it, sometimes it really kind of blows my mind a little bit that I've been doing this 20 years times 200 students-ish a year. Imagine,
yes.
I want to put in Chat GPT one day, how many people would this have impacted, if each doctor sees X number of patients over 40 years, what does that look like? And if I had a little hand in that, that's what's fun. That makes it making it feel very fulfilling and satisfying.
I totally agree. That's the best part of our jobs. We're not only making a difference at our school, but just within our state, within the country, and we're raising the next future group of physicians who ultimately, let's hope, they're going to be taking care of us.
Exactly. That's what I'm like.
Right?
They might be taking care of me someday. And
exactly.
If I have to roll in some hospital someday, oh my God, Deb, you called me that one time. Oh, thank God.
Thank God. Exactly.
No, I had to go into a surgery one time for just minor thing, knee done, and we're going back, and a couple residents were like, "Oh, you're the director of admissions." That's what the guy told us. Yeah, it's I applied to your school. I'm like, oh, if I didn't reject you. I'm not it's a committee decision. It wasn't me.
Disclaimer.
It's you're gonna go to sleep now.
Yeah. Let's hope I wake up.
Yeah, but he's like, I applied, but I didn't get it. I'm like, oh, just so you know, it's not me. It's just a committee. He's
exactly.
I get it.
It all worked out for him.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, my knee got repaired, and I woke up.
Yeah, so. Very good.
Oh my gosh, Tejal, thanks so much again. Great to have you.
Yeah, it was great being on here and sharing all this information with you and spending my morning with you.
Yeah, nailed it. All right, thanks. See ya.
All right, thank you.
Hey, before you go, if you found this episode helpful, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe to this show wherever you listen to podcasts. Just know that your subscription helps more aspiring medical students discover these episodes, which will provide them with the insights they need in helping to build our community. And if you're feeling really generous and you have a moment, please leave a review. Just know that your reviews not only warm my heart and make my day, but they'll also help future doctors, maybe like you, find this podcast and allow this show to keep on growing. Finally, as I always ask, please share this episode with a friend or a pre-med group who are thinking about applying to medical school, but maybe haven't quite taken that first step yet or could use some additional guidance. Sometimes all it takes is the right guidance to get started. Thanks again for listening. Talk to you next time.